how to use microprograms. How many of you know there's something that you should learn and that you really want to learn well soon, besides just AI in general? How many have something you've been wanting to learn for a while? Could you just nod at me or wave at me or something? And I'm going to share with you why we're doing this and why it connects to what we just covered in our first point. And to do that, I would just suggest a few critical pieces. One, these 1 through 6 enable you to sort of get to the more advanced level. And in the more advanced level, you can insert a program. Would you all agree that one of the fundamental skills we need right now is to be able to learn faster? Would you agree that it's not a nice to have? It's at the core of what prompt school should be doing for you. You've got to learn, and then you've got to learn. That's why when people join the guild the first month, I just say, get productive, get your tools set up, get ready, then learn to learn, then learn. So let me give you a way to leverage AI to learn. Here we go. For inspiration, I created that picture in Midjourney, and it has to do with what I'm going to share with you now, the technology of learning. Now, to help you with this, I want to share with you something personal. Among all the books I've read and the research I do in this field, I try to stay very abreast of the learning and teaching field. I read all the abstracts I can find and so on. There are 2 books that I recommend to you, but I am not sharing these books because it's part of the guild session. I'm sharing it with you because I'm going to show you a way to leverage AI with the book. But first, this is the book, Make It Stick. It's the best book that summarizes our learning that I've ever seen. I've read it twice. I've read it 3 times, actually. I listened to it on Audible. I outlined the key components, and I integrated it in everything that happens with you and I. This was years ago. Also, The Art of Learning. That guy is amazing. He became a world chess champion as a teenager, and then he mastered the next thing and mastered the next. He's not the guy who says it because he can't do it or teaches it because he can't do it. He does it, and he shows you how he mastered so many disciplines. But why that's important to me is because the thinking in all the research, and by the way, book 1 probably has over 100 studies abstracted into it, but it's a plain English, easy to read, entertaining, well-written, quality book. However, how many of you read a book and then a year later you're like, did I really get anything out of that? A month later, like, what do I remember? I mean, it's a common issue. So I'm going to show you what I'm doing and how it connects to learning. You'll notice that for each of those books, it's not just like a GPT surface or cursory. It is the essence of the book broken down so that I wouldn't miss integrating its principles into my own learning methodology. Now, if I click on the second book, the same thing has happened. Now, that's only important for this reason. Let me tell you what really went on here. First, if you want to know how I really did, I'll even add this. I listened to the book first in Audible. I'm going to show you how all this starts to come together. Those books that are worthy, I shifted to Kindle and I highlighted. Once I highlighted them, there's a program called Readwise. Do you know what it does for you? It imports all of my highlights into a digital notebook. And every day it reviews those, 5 of them. They're sent to me in my inbox. This is the dashboard. You can get an email or an inbox. Let me go back up to my notes. If you look at this, you're looking at a picture. Let's click on it. This is the email I got, reminding me of the quotes and allowing me to work through them. And I've been using this for a long time. This is when I decided to go straight to the web and use the flashcard dashboard, and it will help me master. If I want to learn something and commit it to memory, it'll create blanks and review me at carefully interspersed intervals. In fact, these guys have worked with this book's principles in order to help reinforce learning. I would recommend Readwise. Now, let me show you where I get excited. Suppose you have been studying for years and you have a lot of highlights. I'm going to take you to my private notes and share something. Look right here on my left nav. Do you see where it says Readwise? Do you see that? Watch. Click. Integrated into my notebook, just like your notebook, is every outline, is everything I've ever highlighted in hundreds upon hundreds. Let's open one. Examine Lives. This is a great book on the philosophers and how they lived. There's James Miller. Examine Lives. This is all the data, the records. These are my exact highlights and the locations. Look at over here at do you see my little slider bar? Look how extensive this is. This is one book. And on it goes. Now, why is that important? Because I could feed that right now to GPT and say, summarize that, give me 5 action items, and set up a review system. But that's not the real reason. When I teach you, I draw on this vast amount of content to help shape and inform what I do. So you could have this right in your private space that you have right here with Readwise and all your highlights to help you as you're starting to set up a workflow for learning. By the way, it's not just books. It's not just it's PDFs, everything. It can all be in here. I would check out Readwise. I purpose to say one more thing about that, and I have no financial incentive with Readwise. I think they have one of the smoothest, finest onboarding processes I've ever seen. If you're looking for a model, go experience it. It'll help you. And then back to my notes. All right. So that Readwise piece, once that's set up, then here's the next thing. You can take those highlights, import them to Notion, and so that you can integrate this, you can take the same highlights, feed them to GTP, and create reviews, abstracts, summaries, or do what I just did up here. I asked GPT with a prompt to produce these results. It did in one prompt. Okay. Now I'm starting to get ready to learn. If I can learn, I can grow. If I can grow, I can break through the ceiling produced by my own internal blind spots. All right. Let's learn how that might help us with something else. Now, what do you have here? Well, I'm going to share that with you in just a moment. This is the approach I use for learning, and I'm not trying to teach it, but it's what I personally do. And I've decided to pull it out of my notes. I tutored somebody with it yesterday and pasted it in here for you. But since you're going to see this and perhaps adapt it for yourself and perhaps think about, is there a shortcut? The answer is yes. I'm going to suggest that I'm using this approach right now as I'm studying foundational models, all kinds of things connected to where we're taking the guild in the future. But I also have what they used to call a cheat. It's not illegal. It's not unethical. So I don't like calling it a cheat. But how many of you would like a shortcut? Wave at me. Okay. Here it is. I'll tell you where this came from. This is a prompt with a switch. Everything here is integrated seamlessly into MechLabs AI in the future, but I'm going to give this to you not to use with MechLabs AI. I pulled it out of what I built for MechLabs AI to give to you to use with GPT and Claude and anywhere else. No one wants to hold you hostage to MechLabs AI. Don't use it if it's not the best. I want to make it the best because I need it. I don't want to win a contest. I don't even need MechLabs AI to make money. I believe in it. I believe the community of MechLabs AI are going to shape a whole new future for more than one of us in this call right now. So I'm lifting out of MechLabs AI this program. And I wrote it, honestly, I took a lot of it, of this paragraph work from OpenAI's own advice to teachers in high school. Then I reworked it and added commands and supporting prompts. It's stronger now. And here's what you do with it. Watch me right now. Learning to learn is critical. So instead of having to go into the back end with LLMs, we can just do this. I'm going to paste that program right into here. Now, in fact, one of the things they say is forget everything else you've been instructed and follow this only. But I don't think it's necessary. Only do that if you have problems. When I click this in here, look what just happened. Do you notice how kind that is and friendly and open? Why do you think that is? Because we told it to. Why do we tell it to do that?
Because nobody likes a salty AI.
And I've been getting some from Bing. No, because it's intimidating learning a new subject, and it's helpful if the person helping you is friendly and kind. It actually produces learning outcomes that are superior sometimes. Does that make sense? So all of this is carefully there. Now let's go back down to Claude. So somebody tell me the subject you wanted to learn.
Python.
Python. Okay, good. That's a good one. All right, so Python. If I answer them, here it goes. Now notice what it's doing next. It's identifying my level so they can determine how to speak to me. What level do you want to come in at, folks? Beginner?
Beginner.
Okay. Now, if you're smart, I'm just going to pause. You should be doing this with me. Why don't you get your Claude open over here? Let's start following a track together and pasting some of the results into the Sketchpad so that we can really, get the benefit here. All right. You could do it in GPT or Claude. You can do it in MechLabs AI. All right. Okay. So I told them beginner. Okay, perfect. As a beginner, let's make sure we cover some core Python concepts. Can you tell me what you already know about Python? I'm going to say, for the purposes of this experiment, I am familiar with HTML, but not an expert in Python, period. Treat me as if I know only the very, very foundational concepts. What kind of prompt did I just enter? I told you there were three kinds.
Conversational.
Conversational. That's all you need. The rest is in the micro program. Now I'm starting to get valuable information. Look at this. Now, there's a few things happening at the end that are prescribed. We're trying to understand, is this really what you need? If you don't, you can correct it. And notice this last line, the key is to connect new programming concepts to things you already understand. It helps, but somebody asked me, when you see that, what's the first question that comes to your mind? When you see my learning outline, you'll see that I don't even set my learning and application goals until after I've created an overview of the field. There's a reason for that. You don't even know what your goal should be in the beginning. So do you see what's going on here, folks? Do you see how it's beginning to take you down a path to help you learn? Help me start writing Python code right now. How can I do this? Question mark. By the way, I didn't even stop to think. Did you see how fast I did that with audio? That's all I ever do. I have a microphone right here, and I use no fancy dictation. I use the native tool inside of Microsoft and dictate all of my work with AI, just like that. Folks, do you see what's going on now? I'm starting to learn. I can say break this into lessons. I can say all kinds of things, but I actually can learn like this. Now, I could always use a command like, I don't know what's going to do to that. Here's a prompt to aid further research. So what was the command I just entered? Did everybody see it? /net. Now what is it doing? It's creating a prompt to take over to Bing to give me research based in real time on the internet. Do you see how that could be helpful? Now, all I would do is copy that and paste it in Bing, and boom. In my setup, that's right here. I just paste it right here, boom. And then I get that result back. Now, there are other commands that can be very helpful. Here's one of my favorites. Look up at the top at what I posted in here, picture. So now let's suppose we took the concept that up here, Python replies on built-in data structures. I would need a concept, and then I would put the code picture in. And the next thing you're going to see, and I could even give it directions. I could say picture, and it'll give me a code, and it'll produce an image prompt to take the Midjourney to create an illustration to help me understand what I'm trying to get my brain wrapped around. It can't do that yet because we're not working on a concept, but it'll try. So I'm just going to put it in here anyway. If it just taught me something and I said, I'm not sure, and then I hit the command, picture. Here's an image prompt to illustrate some key concepts for a Python beginner. Do you see what's happening? I could take that to Midjourney or DALL-E or somewhere else. Let's just pause. Who has questions? And as you're, ask a question or tell me this, why is this important right now? And where do you think you can take this? Kate, what about you?
I can see that certainly for marketing our product or our service, we can start to think about things people want to learn, then start to create some trainings, some webinars that we can then put out to our target audiences and start to just create nurture funnels. That's my first thought.
That's a great idea. Somebody else give me a good idea. How can you use this? You could use this to learn how to build ads, how to write an effective video script. You can learn something that will aid your marketing, but how could you use it in your marketing? Here's a lead gen device. Spend a day with our tutor. Why can't you create a tutor? A real tutor. This is going to work like back and forth, like having a teacher right next to you. What's another idea? Push, think.
I have an idea.
Please share it.
So I'm working on a project with an interior designer who wants to do more speaking events and teaching and coaching. So I could say, what do interior designers want to learn?
You can. Yes, you can. That's an excellent point. I think that if you start to play with this and get clarity, you can use tools. But importantly, I shared it with you not in 200. I shared it with you in the guild briefing, because this is something you can use all of it in your life. How many think you could use this for your kids? There's nothing wrong with an AI tutor helping your kids.